Mindustry PvP, Hex War on Erekir. We're on my Eviction server, and this game is special because this is the first playtest of using the Fog of War feature that got added in version 7. Spoiler alert, I can't leave the Fog of War on the server because there's no way from protecting people from having custom clients that can see through it. And there's no way for the game developer to remove that possibility. Also, there's some bugs with minimap display updating. It just sort of doesn't work. And that's a shame because I really like the way Fog of War changes the game. In this particular match, there are 2 other players that know what they're doing, and I don't know where they are. They're off on the distance somewhere. They could be close, they could be far. I don't know what they're building. I don't know how fast they're growing. I don't know anything. So I have to try and change my approach to be ready for anything that's going to happen. There's this sort of psychological effect that happens in a lot of games where because you can see what's going on, you can see that there's nothing dangerous happening, and just phone it in, whatever. When somebody I know is out there and I know they play well, I can go look at them and see how well they're doing. If there was a dangerous player in a game like this, that would really be something. I might have to do like special events sometimes where I turn on Fog of War, but I only let people that I know and trust actually play, so that I know that they're not cheating. Yeah, maybe I'll do that at some point in the future. That might be pretty cool. Yeah, so basic economy set up. I'll get that 1 unit factory to do the expansion. Gotta get more vents. And probably going for eludes like always, They may have gotten nerfed a little bit in some of the more recent versions of the beta, but there's just nothing that can compare to the tactical advantage of units that are 2.5 times faster than everything else. Running low on that initial stockpile of beryllium. Gotta get those extra drills down. It feels bad to have to do more and more and more beryllium instead of doing, like furthering tech stuff. Go for the oxide and the gases and those things, but without that solid base, then eventually all the building just grinds to a halt. And the thing to look out for is, well, I should be checking the map more often, or at least around the perimeter of what I've revealed. Because as soon as somebody finds out where I am, or I find out where they are, I need to know, what's the deal there. There's the possibility of doing scouting. It's a little limited because of the life support attrition from taking units too far away from your cores. Like I can't just send something off to the complete other side of the map and expect it to get real far. There is an extra benefit to taking new cores when Fog of War is on, is that cores provide vision. So by extending my borders, sending 3 or 4 units to each nearby core and knocking it off, that is very effectively increasing the amount of space that I can see. And the more buffer zone between my juicy economy and whatever else, then the more time I'm going to have to react to something going on. And of course, you still gotta do the standard walling in stuff. You gotta have the doors. You gotta protect yourself from the eludes. Tactically good for me is tactically good for everyone else too. Waiting around for the next interesting thing. All right, yeah. So here we are, going for the first elude factory. 7 graph borers and 3 sand cliff crushers, whatever. Sand drills. They're drills. Annoying to place. You can't put them on a graphite wall because a graphite wall doesn't count as something that sand can come out of, and there's no way to make it that way because it's its own wall type. Everything else is dune walls, which is the most generous as far as sand is concerned kind of wall, because the whole philosophy of the server is it's not fun to be poor, so in every chance that I can give good amounts of resources, I do. Very liberally spreading around everything. You need to, well, it's not quite successful, but I'm real generous with graphite because you need every spawn, or you want every spawn to have at least some graphite in it. It's not perfect on that account, but it's pretty good. Still no sign of opposition. One of the first possible signs of somebody being nearby is if I hold out something with the build interface and it projects the exclusion zones from other cores. If I see any color in the surrounding circle other than fallen green, then I know that somebody else has a core there, even without putting a unit in the way. Yeah, we're low on beryllium. The thing that takes the most out of that is the ship factories. And starting to put up the elude defense, which I don't know how necessary it is. There's a little bit of weirdness when you choose to place those, because when a core is destroyed and it destroys all the buildings around it, sometimes it edges its way into a neighboring hex. So some stuff on the edge, some of this edge stuff will get destroyed if I lose that particular core on the outside. So it's a lot tougher to seal in when you've got the wide walls. You can't really afford the time or tungsten to door it up the entire way. You could do single block walls, but that's only like twice as fast on something that's inexorably long. The beryllium walls are not great because their armor sucks, so sufficient number of eludes coming up will cut through that. Versus the Titan doors, which are actually pretty time consuming to cut through with eludes. Those are regular tungsten walls, and they have the same stats as a large tungsten. The extra cost is just silicon. Alright, so one of the things about Fog of War that I asked the developer about was, effects can show through that, and explosions and some other things. And that is as intended. So using that, I just got a clue that one of my neighbors is to the south here. So I'm going to start to prepare for, I don't know what's coming through there. The tanks are kind of throwaways since I just had the one little factory. I'm expecting to use the eludes to do actual work that needs done. And I've got a nice fleet of them stored up for when it's time to start actually going off and fighting. Look, I've discovered my oxide is wrong. It just took like 7 minutes. Putting the mechs behind the core, even though it's not a friendly core for him, is good micro since they fire over it, but my tanks cannot fire through it. Huh. Looks like the door's built a little slower. That's a shame. And he's got a locust that I need to look out for. Yeah, as the balance currently sits, locusts are pretty overpowered. If someone goes straight to them and then keeps stacking up more locust factories, if you don't get to them early to try and derail or slow that down some, then you could end up with a really tough problem to deal with. There's not really any reasonable counter at tier 2 that can deal with locusts once they get close to whatever they want to mess with. The turn options aren't great either unless you go up. You pretty much have to go up another tech level to deal with them, so it makes them pretty mandatory. So one of the things that I'm being careful to do here is attrition management. I don't want to send the bulk of my army more than one parcel away from where I have a core. And I don't want the bulk of my army to be sitting in a parcel with a core that gets destroyed. So I'm trying to send little small squads to go actually do damages to cores so that when it pops, it's minimizing my damage. And also, it's an effective use of time. You know, I'm capturing 3, 4, 5 cores at any given moment instead of doing them one at a time. I haven't finished walling this one in, but now I'm going to put up my locust factory. And I'm making sure to route the reinforcements down there. This is from the other guy. That blue circle just barely visible there. My other neighbor was now revealed. Luckily, he's not doing anything consciously. If he did a focused attack here, it could probably do a good amount of damage. But it looks like he just has full assault on, so things are trickling through. I don't know what he has, but I know that there's a source of locusts to the south, so I'm sort of more focused on that. And some of the reinforcements will be diverted to fixing this blue problem. Well, should make sure to finish the wall so that the T2 factory gets protected. An annoying thing about how much piping and ducting you have to do to get the various kinds of unit factories. It takes a long time and a lot of just little fiddly building to connect this to that and whatever. I'm not going to be able to finish this teaching factory because I keep needing to go do army things over and over again. Still haven't spotted any infrastructure from either of them. So this is all just empty territory that they haven't built into yet. Panning is so important now. You used to be able to get by decently without knowing about it. You gotta have that mouse 3 button. Especially with no like clickable mini map or anything like that. You've gotta be able to go to where your army is and back to your economy and to the secondary army and all that real-time strategy micromanagement stuff that is now forced to be a part of the game. Alright, so let's do a dive and see what's in here. Alright, locusts and mechs. I don't want to go near that, but I'm a lot faster than it, so let's go find some other stuff. No defense here. Easy pickings. Though I don't want this entire army to be in this parcel to take it out, so I'm going to split that apart a little bit. That's still probably more, but he's going to... I presume that he's going to send some stuff... Oh, alright, we got it before he sent stuff over. Having that core is going to give me a little bit more life support range to actually go in and start shooting stuff. And here's the stuff to get. And those are full of ozone. Let's pop them. Not quite the chain reaction that I would have liked to have, but there are some good undefended targets in here that I can sneak out. Pinch between two forces, going for less valuable stuff. And then this is just sort of going to peter out, especially since I'm out of life support range there. But that's a good distraction. I got some nice stuff taken out. Still have those cores. It is reckless to be focusing down there when the blue person is where they are. And it's annoying to not have this yet. Yeah, that's the result of having your main army in a hex to destroy an empty core, is you lose a big fraction of it that you didn't have to. Since I was so happy with how that raid went, I'm going to try and reproduce it for better results. This time, since the main force is away, I'm going to focus down the core because that'll take everything out there and be a pretty serious blow. Then focus on his spawn hex. One of the interesting things about the damage balancing is eludes per shot damage is low, such that anything with armor is gonna hold up a lot better. And the spawning citadel has much more armor than the bastions. So using eludes to kill a player's spawn is actually really inefficient. Can I finish this yet? Is it anything more than just Oh, I put much more. Did I put more graphite in there than I need? I think I did. It only needs it for the silicon. Silicon needs 2. Yeah, I only might need like 3 graphite instead of what I actually put in, which is like 8. Oh well. I gotta learn my schematic ratios better. So, although that was a pretty strong blow against him, the pink player is not out. He has some stuff that's also to the right, and he's going to get some time to rebuild because now that he's slowed down that much, I need to go figure out what blue is doing. Looks like his full assault is no longer on, so he's probably started preserving an army. But I do have what's left of Pink's army doing some harassment that I need to worry about. And 5 beryllium, so not quite done here. Oh, come on, do the... So the vent to a unit repair, that's an interesting thing. I'm probably going to copy it, but I wouldn't use it in that situation. In that situation, you want to be putting down walls to be, I guess, as cover pieces deployable in whatever unit combat you're doing. There is a bit of a defender's bonus, but it's absolutely not from turrets, which almost universally blow. It's from being able to drop walls in front of units or around your infrastructure, whatever. Like these eludes should absolutely not work against locusts, but because I can keep them behind those walls, then they can win this fight. And it's also extra useful to take those out because I took out his hexes that had his protection, so I know that he can't replace them. Alright, finishing the T2 factory. It only took 20 minutes. 15 minutes, something like that. And the perils of using bargain basement power for everything. That's why it's nice to have land. Not only is it good for the vision, it's good for free vents all over the place that are cheap to build on. Although it's not really cheap from an attention standpoint. No sign of blue again yet. Oh, it doesn't have hydrogen yet even. Ugh. Still not done with it. This'll do it. Finally. It looks like the power lines are disconnected on that too. So one of the things that I'll be able to see in map checks, the attacking units are going to enemy cores, but they're not, the visibility of those cores is not being updated on the minimap because the event that drives minimap updating for revealed fog of war is player camera. So unless you go and pan over and directly look at it, it's going to stay not displayed on the minimap. And that's super obnoxious. I'd say it's broken. The developer says that there isn't an efficient way to do that, but he also has all of the units updating their visibility on the map perfectly. So just, do the same thing when visibility is revealed by units. Well. Yeah, that's my first real size power plant, so I definitely want to make sure that that stays sealed off from elude rush. Starting to push towards blue. Pink is down there. I have a suspicion as far as the balance of the game goes that the most effective ramping of combat effectiveness is just to keep making T1 factories. I can get one of these ship factories down in like a minute, and if you've got it's something like 35 beryllium drills and a few other things, then you can all sustain that rate of building, and you need like 5 vents to power it. So you can pretty much go at a rate of take a hex per minute, fill it up with vents, put a ship factory on it, and set it going, and 5 minutes pass, you've got 20 ship factories, and there aren't good options for crowd control of that rate without doing significant teching up. Like you need titans, which means you need thorium, and to get the thorium you need oxide, but you can't just do it with a little bit of thorium because it's also the ammo for the titans. The afflicts, you need a lot of power, and you need surge. There's not good area of effect options. Maybe sublimate, but you got to put it behind a ton of walls, and you got to also protect the ozone path into it. So that point is pretty much the front line as far as competing with blue. Now the oxide factory. Well, this is sort of what's the point of making so much ozone in that previous scam, and that's to get what goes into this factory, which is nice ratios for oxide and a good heat output for if I want to do surge or carbide, which normally I want to do surge. In this game I want afflict because I saw that he had stuff that was shaped like air units in the way they were moving, and the upper border in his direction is 5 wide walls, so no walkers, no tanks, only air passes through that. And if he's got it, then that's a place I have to worry about being attacked and can't really fight back. All right, so there's a derp. Is ducts do not carry ozone. You want pipes, but you put the wrong thing. All right, let's make more locusts. Maybe this one will build faster than the last one. Started at 34. Yeah, certain things it is more important to wall off because they're more important targets than other things. Like if I've got hexes that's just got 4 vent power plants in it, then meh, sure, stuff can go through that. It's cheap to rebuild. But if I've got a T2 factory or the big power plant or something else that's expensive or valuable like that, then it's more important to wall it off and maybe even put a insurance turret of some point, like put in a flick near the big power plant or something like that. What's going on over there? So he's got a lot of blue stuff, whatever pile of units that is. Bunch of tanks. He's got a bunch of tanks. It's 2 minutes since I started working on this factory. Still doesn't have the hydrogen yet. Alright, and here comes that. Maybe I should have flipped that the other way. Yeah, so a drawback of doing full assault or attack is everything triples out one at a time, and it's actually pretty easy to defend. It is not concentrated force, but it is automatic, and you don't have to pay any attention to it. So I will want to turn off those, or stop doing those distributed attacks once it's time to actually store up some forces and fight something. Alright, going for the surge. So the placement for that oxide factory was not great because there is not any slag nearby, and the surge factory needs slag to go into it. To pull it from pretty far away, which running long range pipes is not that bad. It's certainly better than doing the stupid liquid tank mass driver thing that the campaign is obsessed with. That all is a bunch of waste of time. I suppose if you have terrain that is intentionally created to block off the ability to put in pipes, then sure, but I can't procedurally generate things like that to create a random map and have it actually be fair. Alright, he's got some units stored up, but he's hanging back. And there's some life coming back from pink. Blue just used an attack command. A little bit wasteful. A lot wasteful. And I've got 6 locust fabricators working. Overpowered locusts fighting for me and not against me. Here's where I'm getting this lag. Yeah, the extra heat going into the surge smelter thing. It takes more than 1 pump worth of slag to use that amount of heat. And pretty much all the heat buildings, you want to run them at the maximum percentage, so everything is actually 4 times what it says it is. Well, that's debatable, because the buildings themselves aren't really expensive. It's more about the opportunity cost of putting down the ducts and pipes and delivery mechanisms. If you've got like cargo drones doing everything for you, then running it a little slow is fine, because you just plop down 1 schematic and everything else was automatic. So we're gonna pull off some squads to do some side core destruction. Pink may be a danger, but they've the border is still 2 or 3 hexes away, so the life support buffer is keeping me safe from pink for now. Although it looks like he is trying to intentionally cut a corridor of cores towards my base, which is a pretty good call. A not great part of that is that I can sort of direct forces on either side and catch him in a concave or something. Yeah, so there he is, moving eludes up to cut another core closer. And he's learned about the core destruction of Christian, so he's leaving a few behind. I will be able to catch him by surprise pretty well, as long as I don't move a big pile of locusts too close to the edge of my hexes. Or I could just go for where he must be building. Yeah, it looks like that's the play, because my life support extends much further than his, so... that was a waste. So blue should be able to see that I'm moving my army away, and it would be a good time for him to push out. I do have reinforcements still building up back at home. These guys are going to be lured into locust destruction. Want to cut into this. It won't be tough, especially if I can focus on a single wall that's protecting it. And split off a few of them to take care of ancillary targets at the same time. Got a micro to stop him from building turrets. Well, I don't have to, they're not effective. It looks like that's the killing blow. And blue, seeing that I'm away, is now moving out. So that's something that I need to deal with. So, caps lock, caps lock. So pull a rally up here. That'll gather the locusts and the eludes that I've banked up while I was doing that attack. And I've got some surge ready to be able to put up some real turrets that actually do something. And I can now send some of the eludes to go do mop-up work. Oh yeah, look at that, actually projecting damage in a wide area against multiple units. Power plant. Yeah, it's got green near it. And this is a bad place to rally these because they can't actually move forward from here. They can protect from the air that might come, but the actual plan for that is to get some more afflicts down. And that explosion there, that shows that he just did a surrender. So what's gone wrong here is there are 2 hexes on the map that are completely blocked to surface ground units. And I haven't built any mechs or any air units, so none of this stuff can actually go in and end the game by taking those. So I'm gonna have to build a few more factories of the proper types so that I can actually finish the game. So now we've got a nail house situation going on where I can't send any eludes or locusts in there, so I've got to use the weaker air units, and I've also made some crawler factories. They can sometimes get some turrets up. They have the option of doing building repairers. They got some stuff that can be made to work in there. And it draws it out, especially when considering the playership healing combined with the armor reducing imp damage being done to that final citadel there. So this actually drags on for a bit of time. And finally we grind it down. Good game. See you next time.